And I post up your article every time. You also have it posted up independently. Where do you send the articles usually? You send them over to what's it called? What's the website?
Usually appear
usually the
WorldNet
Daily, right?
Daily.
Yeah, the Electoral College and its enemies. And I'd like you to kind of talk about the left unhinged, because it's a big deal. I mean, honestly, the left is kind of like drooling like minions of Lucifer himself. If only we could get rid of that darn Electoral College. We could just have the minions in New York City, Chicago, and L.A., and the whole country could go to Hades, and we could rule America. That's what they're thinking of, isn't it?
Oh, of course. And they're dealing with some very bright founding fathers who more than 2 centuries ago had the amazing opportunity of being able to create a government from scratch, from just a blank piece of paper. And they were very good students of history. They had seen what worked and what failed in ancient Greece and ancient Rome and elsewhere in human history.
Right.
And they realized that pure democracy of any kind has some very severe problems. That in a pure democracy, you're always at the control of demagogues who can whip up a mob. More than that, you're always at the control of, and democracies tend to live only until the people discover that they can vote themselves money out of the public treasury.
Right.
Once that happens, the state is doomed. So the framers were very careful in putting together something. They did want the people to have input. They did want a kind of democracy, but they did not want pure democracy. They wanted something that had controls to keep it from going off the rails.
Right.
And that control they call the Electoral College. The Electoral College ideal, and by the way, that comes from the Latin collegium, meaning community, society, guild.
Right.
That's where college came from. But they decided to concrete a group that, as Alexander Hamilton wrote in Federalist Paper 68, would be opposed to cabal, intrigue, and corruption. And one way it would be is that members of the Electoral College who actually cast the votes from all our different states that wind up electing the president, they would not be able to be a senator, representative, or other person holding a place of trust or profit under the United States. The immediate agents in the election will at least enter upon the task free from any sinister bias, wrote Hamilton. In other words, he did not want people who had a vested interest in electing a president who would advance their personal political fortunes. The one thing the founders did not adequately foresee, of course, was the rise of political parties. The founders, by and large, hated political parties. They called them a faction because they were groups of people who were dedicated to dividing and conquering the country, breaking it up, putting people against each other's throats, just for the sake of gaining power themselves. So they would sacrifice the national interest for their own personal political party interest. And Hamilton and the other founders did not like that idea at all.
Yeah, they saw the knowledge of people like Cincinnatus that basically said, he wanted to go back farming, and they thought he was so great in the Senate they wanted to keep him there. The problem is you have career politicians like Joe Biden. And now Joe Biden is showing signs of organic dementia, although his neurosurgeon said his brain is fine. I'm thinking, it's still inside his skull, but it's not fine. I mean, you can just listen to the man. He's getting wrong states, wrong dates, wrong people. I mean, no matter what you say about Joe Biden, he's flipped his politics because the Joe Biden of the 1990s could possibly be elected, but the Joe Biden of 2019, there's no way he's either on the same policy page or even on the same clue page. He doesn't have the same clues. The problem is these politicians eventually get so corrupt, they don't even see that they think that their business and they're milking the system of just no different than the communists. Like look at Vladimir Putin. He thinks he owns the government, being the former director of the GRU. He thinks his oligarchs who are billionaires, they control the state of Russia, which is state-sponsored business, just like the PLA in China. So it's the same thing. If you get rid of the Electoral College, you're going to have basically elected oligarchs in America, no different than Russia or China. It'll be the same thing, won't it?
Well, what happened is we wound up with political parties, as I said, people who were ambitious for themselves, who wanted policies that would help their own party more than that would help the whole nation.
Right.
And as a result, we've always had this war, the war between the Constitution itself. The greedy, the political parties do not easily have the ability to change the Constitution, especially where the Electoral College is concerned, because it was designed to give power not just to the few big states, but to the small states as well.
Right.
And the way the system was arranged, the small states are not likely to give up what power they have to erase the Electoral College.
Right.
I mean, what we have is a world where California has 40 million people and 2 U.S. senators. Wyoming has far less than 1 million people and 2 U.S. senators.
Right.
And in both cases, those senators give the respective states 2 electoral votes. States are also guaranteed at least 1 seat in Congress, even if they don't have the numbers to justify it. So the least a state can have is 3 electoral votes, even if it's a very tiny state. And that's something the left would love to change, especially since they control states like California. And so they've introduced this really strange concept that, we're going to count not the electoral vote, but the popular vote. And whoever wins the popular vote, we're going to give them, by a new scheme of the left. I say new, they've been exercising it or trying to since 2006.
Right.
And that is the proposed National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which brings together the big states like California, New York, New Jersey, and so on,
right,
in an agreement that says once we control enough electoral votes, I mean members of the compact, to be able to elect the president ourselves, then it will go into effect. At present, 15 states have joined the compact, and they constitute 72.6% of the 270 electoral votes needed to elect a president. They control 196 electoral votes. So they're actually fairly close to just being able to elect a president themselves, which of course means in a presidential campaign, no candidate has any reason to go to Kansas or North Dakota or any other small state, because they're going to say, well, what can they do for me? Nothing compared to what, say, Hollywood can do for me, or Silicon Valley, or giant cities like New York or Los Angeles. So I will just go campaign in these 15 or so key cities, and that will be that. So the elections will be decided there. Now, of course, there are many reasons to object to this idea. It's certainly not what the founders wanted, and it's certainly not what the left can bring about by amending the Constitution, because they frankly don't have enough votes to amend the Constitution that far.
Right.
But we wind up with just a few states then control, like Hillary Clinton said, I won millions more popular votes than Donald Trump did. Well, indeed you did, but that's a little bit like saying...
Yeah, a lot of them were probably illegals, though. People voted multiple times, too.
Oh, sure. We'll go into that. But the point is, that's like someone saying, well, I scored more touchdowns than Donald Trump did. Yeah, but we're not playing football. We're playing baseball.
Right.
We're playing a different constitutional game. Does anyone doubt, for example, that when George W. Bush was running, he having been the governor of Texas, he could not have gone into Texas and run up another several million votes in Texas if he'd wanted? Of course he could. But there was no reason to. He already won Texas. And so Hillary Clinton is now saying, well, I won the popular vote. You notice the many things that the left is doing. For example, they have screamed and yelled and demanded that the U.S. Census not count non-citizens among its numbers. Why do that? Well, because if there was a clear count of how many people in California were non-citizens, then there would be a ceiling on how many votes they could claim to have won. But if they don't allow citizenship to be counted, well, they can claim millions of illegal aliens, and California has about 1 out of every 4 illegal aliens in the United States. They have 1 out of every 3 welfare recipients in the United States. They could run up a vote total to infinity. And in fact, the Democrats in June in the House of Representatives, the one part of the government they do control, they passed a new measure called the Securing America's Federal Elections Act, otherwise known as the SAFE Act. And what does this provide? Well, among many other squirrely things, it doesn't provide for voter ID. It doesn't provide for proof of citizenship. It does allow same-day registration, which means people from nowhere could be registered literally 1 minute before they actually voted on Election Day.
Wow.
Oh, and it provides for ballot harvesting. Why is ballot harvesting so significant? Because in ballot harvesting, Dr. Deagle, a state has the ability to say, guess what, we're going to send out, even though they haven't requested it, we're going to send out, let's say, 5 mail-in ballots to every family that has a Hispanic surname or otherwise appears likely to be a Democrat voting constituency. We're going to record who got all of these ballots, and then, in the week before Election Day, those people will get a knock on the front door.
Right.
And it will be a Democrat operative saying, I've come for the ballots. And a typical recipient of all those ballots will say, oh, but senor, I am not even a citizen. I cannot vote, so I just ignored the ballots. Well, don't do that, Pedro. What I want you to do is just sign your name down here at the bottom.
Right.
And then you can give us the ballots. I know you haven't filled them out. We'll take care of that for you. And single Democrat operatives are thus empowered under California's new law on ballot harvesting to put together an 18-wheel truck filled with hundreds of thousands, indeed millions, of ballots like that.
Wow.
And they will have operatives all over the state, thus harvesting the ballots that they have sent out. You may notice in the 2018 election, there were Republican incumbent congressmen throughout Orange County and San Diego County. And they all won on election night from the real immediate vote count. But then what happened? Oh, in the next day or 2 or 5 or 7, suddenly a flood of these ballots from nowhere came into the counting place, and the Democrat governor and the government of the Democratic Party, which, by the way, has a supermajority in both houses of the California legislature, they simply ordered that these ballots be counted, and the Republicans were powerless to stop them. And accordingly, by the way, this has become one of the new strategies of the Democratic Party. George Soros, for example, goes around the country electing attorney generals for states, goes around electing district attorneys for major cities such as Philadelphia. The ultra-left-wing attorney general in Philadelphia was elected with George Soros, by reporting that looked into it, spending an average of $33 per vote for the relatively small number of votes needed to elect him. But, of course, when it comes time to decide whether votes will be counted or how they'll be counted, people in these positions hold all the power. And as a result, it becomes remarkably easy to steal an election. The only safeguards we have, which are precious few, have been bought off or confiscated from the people. So, therefore, can Hillary Clinton win a majority in a solid Democrat state like California? Oh, yes, she can.
Oh, easy.
Absolutely easy. But the problem is, under the Electoral College, we don't have one election for president. We have 50. California is just one state. And though they can run up a lot of popular votes, they can't necessarily run up a lot of electoral votes. So they can't force the election of a president unless this kind of new law is passed and these measures are implemented where it's the popular vote that counts. Well, the Democrats can rig the popular vote to be whatever they want.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Wow. That's so brilliant what you just mentioned. I guarantee you that you need to be on, say, Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham, who's a legal expert as well, or some of the other people on Fox. I mean, they don't say this, do they? I don't think so. Amazing.
Well, you can try to stop this, of course.
Requirements in one quick, delicious drink. Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support is a proprietary blend of vegan protein, activated vitamins, essential minerals, amino acids, probiotics, green tea, digestive enzymes, anti-inflammatories, cancer prevention, detoxification, and much more. Your body will high-five you for this one. Life Support is the best complete nutritious meal replacement on the market. Whether you are an elite athlete, have post-operative challenges, chronic illness, elderly, or a family that just wants a quick, delicious drink, try Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support for optimized nutrition in one great tasting smoothie. Just add cold water, almond milk, fruit, or anything else you like. NutriMedical's Life Support. Try our great tasting chocolate or vanilla today. Call 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com. NutriMedical.com for the whole family.
Red Deer Velvet DR is an amazing new product with a patent to preserve 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones, same as fetal life, where you don't age at all. The state of fetal life allows the 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones produced by the placenta to be supportive of the regeneration of tissues and organs, with maximum apoptosis, changing the tissue and organ structure of a fetus. That's why if fetal surgery is performed, there is no scar. Taking 2 to 3 capsules twice a day with oncomycin, myco-D2, provides an amazing support for regeneration of any tissue and organ in the body, and even advanced stem cell therapy support treatment. Do get NutriMedical's Red Deer Velvet DR from Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well and stay young with NutriMedical. Lumen photon therapy, infrared light, far and near infrared, is extremely important for pain control, stimulation of nitric oxide, improved perfusion, and stem cell activation and reduction of cytokines. Dr. Bill uses it for pain control, for regeneration techniques, for organ regeneration, and for stimulation of your stem cell activity. This amazing lumen photon therapy this year will probably have an additional device with frequency therapy during the on phase of the lights. To obtain a lumen photon machine, contact Dr. Bill at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. He'll prescribe it with the providing nutraceuticals to help with your regeneration, healing, and pain control. Nothing like the lumen photon therapy for easy therapy for your eyes, your pain, your joints, regeneration of organs, detoxification of the body. Get a lumen photon machine from Dr. Bill Deagle, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well with NutriMedical. The Sonic Life Machine is one of the most amazing therapies that Dr. Bill provides. It is the best sine wave exercise machine on the planet, doing whole body vibration, opening up the muscle to reduce insulin resistance, improve perfusion, release stem cell therapies throughout the body, and epigenetically stimulate the body to release DNA activated. The epigenetic therapy with the sine wave curve of frequencies given for atomic resonance by Linus Pauling for minerals and amino acids stimulates the production of messenger RNA to correct structural protein enzyme deficiency for almost every illness. There's nothing like the sine wave therapy for improving body healing for exercise, but also the epigenetic treatments Dr. Bill can provide can help neutralize frequencies for disease states and illness. Get a Sonic Life machine through Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com. Contact us at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871, or go to the website NutriMedical and give us a contact. Dr. Bill is available to help you get well with NutriMedical.
Need a powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens? Allicin Med is the powerful universal pathogen killer's latest advance of German-sourced allicin, enzymatically stabilized to clear the body of bacteria, fungi, mycobacteria, and parasites. It penetrates body biofilms and is non-toxic to tissues. Pathogen resistance cannot develop for long-term body-optimized wellness. Clear stealth pathogens that promote autoimmune disease, cancer and vascular inflammation and plaque and promote healing of tissues. Now pathogen-free. With 200 milligrams more power than prior Alamed, you can't get a more powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens. Give your body what it needs. Allicin Med. Order Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutridyne at 888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. That's 1-888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. And listen to the NutriMedical Report on the Genesis Radio Network with open lines every weekday. NutriMedical.com, bringing nutrition and medicine together.
And welcome back. We have of the amazing Lowell, Ponte, and you always have articles that actually crystallize what's really need to be said. As I mentioned just before the break, I guarantee you they need to go farther, whether it's Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Hannity, etc. over at Fox, which is probably the best of the conservative radio out there, but they have red lines they don't cross. You don't cross, don't worry about that. You're a red line agnostic. You're also a box agnostic. You go ask questions, you provide statistical analysis and logic that explains, and you've been on think tanks, you've been writing for 5 decades, to major news articles and so on. In your cohort, Craig Smith is on at least once a week with Neil Cavuto on Fox News Business. You also have the books, and I'd like you to mention now this segment and the next segment, how do they get your 7 books, which are available by calling in a phone line, and you get free delivery in the free book that explains, and literally Craig is paying for this out of his deep billionaire heart for America. He's paying for it basically out of his own pocket. So you don't need to spend $20 to get the book. You don't need to pay for delivery. They don't need to go to Amazon or anywhere else. They can get it just by calling the number. What is it, Lowell? Go ahead.
Sure, it's a toll-free number, and we'll pay for the shipping and everything. It will literally not cost you a penny
right.
for this otherwise $20 book. 800-630-1492 is the number. That's the same number, those last 4 digits, as the year Columbus sailed the ocean.
Yeah, that number, 800-630-1492.
Right.
Let's continue with your dialogue about this, because I think people need to start understanding how nuts things are. They have to really understand that what you're laying out here is something that the Founding Fathers saw. They didn't see that D.C. would become the district of criminals. They didn't see that the politicians would become career politicians. It would be the exact opposite of Cincinnatus in ancient Rome that didn't want to go back. He wanted to go back to farming, not stay in the Senate. We don't understand that we're literally on the edge of completely Sovietizing America by converting it back to an oligarch of politicians on the teat of the government in total control. So the new realm of powerful people is like Soviet Russia now, where the oligarchs are basically members of the Communist Party, and they're on the teat that every business transaction, if something goes clink into their own pocket and their dacha, let's say, on the Red Sea. People don't understand this, do they? They don't realize that we're being Sovietized, aren't we?
Well, we're certainly being taken a long way from what the founders had in mind, which was
exactly.
a government that operated in the national interest, a government where politicians were discouraged from actually doing things like holding the position of an elector in the Electoral College.
Right.
So what the founders were striving for was a government that eliminated the problems. They did not want a pure democracy. They wanted a republic in which the people could vote for representatives. And by the way, this is not a new idea. If you look back through the history, for example, of the Holy Roman Emperor, there were various figures in history who were called electors in Europe. For example, the great elector of Brandenburg. And those were the people who cast the votes that elected the Holy Roman Emperor. I mention this only because I'm told, I don't really pay much attention to it, that I am descended from the second wife, the great elector of Brandenburg, at the height of that era, which means I'm probably represented or related to half the royalty of Europe, such as it is, which shows one more thing that Americans tend to laugh at as being of any significance. But the point is, having a representative government in which other people cast the ultimate votes and pass the ultimate laws for you is what the founders came up with as the least corrupt possible system. Not a perfect system by any means, but it meant that you give people power, and then you give other people opposed to them power, and you let them fight each other, nullifying the power they have, by opposing one another, by keeping one another honest, and so on. The founders decided that was really the best thing we could do because we don't have a government of angels. And, of course, their point being, ultimately, you can have a choice. You can have a big government, in which case you're going to have small people, or you can have large people, in which case you will have small government. Our founders opted for small government and large people. Thomas Jefferson, for example, when he was Secretary of State, at one point declared that the office of Secretary of State was just exactly the size it should be. When he said that, I think there were either 5 or 6 people in the entire State Department of the United States, and one of them was simply the secretary who wrote down what the others were saying into documents.
Well, we know
that was
have
Jefferson's
this
idea of proper size for government.
I got a joke for you. This is like a dog going out into the woods, and when it comes back, it's, let's say, a 60-pound dog. It's got a 20-pound tick on it that keeps on sucking blood until the tick is almost the size of the dog. That's what government is. It's politics. It's like a giant tick on us, the body politic of society,
Yes.
sucking us dry and sucking the blood and
Politics
lifeblood out of
meaning many blood-sucking creatures, yes.
Yeah, politics. Yeah, many bloodsuckers, the politicians.
Sure, and as Jefferson himself recognized, we need to have incessant revolution here to hold the size of government down. Otherwise, it is the natural tendency of government to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
As these people arrange taxes and other procedures to benefit themselves.
Well, we see it with healthcare. Like, why is Bernie Santa Claus so hell-bent on taking insurance away from, say, 180 to 190 million Americans already have it? Why don't they fix healthcare so it's more innovative? They get rid of malpractice, allow cross-state competition, allow nutraceuticals to have equality with drugs, allow doctors to be paid an hourly wage rather than fee-for-service so they would get paid so it could be income neutral and wouldn't push procedures. What I see happening is a lot of the things that could be done in healthcare to fix it are really simple. And they're not doing it. And we see Trump wants to he's a good fixer. I mean, that's why he got the rink in Central Park fixed so quickly. That's why he's a builder that builds under schedule. The problem is that he's constantly blocked by both Republicans inside his own party and all the Democrats and all the media. The media are still hounding him, saying they want to impeach him. It's like, are you kidding? I mean, he doesn't know everything. He's really screwing up with 5G network, 6G, genetically modified foods, and recycled water. But those are minor things. They can be fixed. He's working hard to actually get China to cave, which I think they will soon. He's worked on a deal with Japan to get a big agricultural benefit to our farmers. And I think Trump is going to be reelected. The problem is, I'm worried about his health. He drinks too many aspartame, which is going to deteriorate to formaldehyde, diketopiperazine, and methyl alcohol that'll fry his brain and embalm him. And I'm worried that he's surrounded by a bunch of knuckleheads that either don't care or are evil. John Lightning Bolt and Mike Pompeo, who's very intelligent, but these guys are globalists. And they have a global version that's directly opposition to the Founding Fathers, don't they?
And that's what the founders were concerned about, that kind of power grab. And for the last 100 years and more, we've had a progressive movement here that has tried to do away with the U.S. government and replace it with a much more globalist government. That, in fact, was the ideal after World War II.
Right.
That we would set up a United Nations, that basically we would run the United Nations, and that we would gradually phase out capitalism in favor of socialism.
Well, and it's also tied into the Green Agenda. For example, we had Harley Schlanger on last Friday, and he talked about the fact that the Germans have now fully encapsulated and taken over the Green Agenda. They're getting rid of nuclear plants. They're getting rid of coal. They don't even want to push diesel. They're putting tax so people will have to take trains rather than planes. It's destroying the German economy, which is innovative, and they're very good at science and technology. And if the same thing happened to, say, Canada, which is socialist, unfortunately under, Justin Trudeau, who's a knucklehead, so he's losing his popularity, he's crying because he's no longer as popular. It's like, this is not a popularity race. This is a service. The president or the prime minister, whatever it is, the leader of any country, is a servant of the people, but they don't see it that way, do they? The politicians and the public service don't see it that way. They see they've got a cushy job where they make 50 to 100% more money than the average person out in the public, and they get giant pensions when they retire. I see...
Well, the logic of progressivism was that there is a little elite of people who are superior to you and me. They are, let's call them philosopher kings, as Plato did. And therefore, we are to bow down before the philosopher kings who will create a much more intelligent government than we have the ability to do. And they will be in charge of that government. They will be the white-robed scientists. They will be the leaders, the philosopher kings of one kind or another.
Right.
And why should we be allowed to actually interfere with them?
And there's several various incarnations now in the demon rats. Judge Pirro uses the same term as I do, the demon rats. You got the fuzzy-haired, angry Mr. Potato Head Bernie Sanders class, and you got the poppy-eyed, dow-eyed, we call it absent of cortex, AOC. You've got people like Beto O'Rourke with his buck teeth sticking out, talking about things like abortion up to the last day before delivery, and say it's a woman's right. No, it's not the woman's right. That baby's a separate human being. In fact, we have a situation, the movie that's coming out in, I think, 4 to 6 weeks, called about Roe versus Wade. The guy that actually put the movie together, John Voight, that in fact they have fetuses that actually have girl names and have property rights. And if you can have a property right, you're a person. This has already been decided in courts already. So if the property rights are decided in any court in America, any baby from the moment of conception is a person legally. And the thing is, we're not dealing with that. This is why it would wipe out Roe versus Wade. What's going to happen is the Democrats are thinking they're going so far left, even the average Democrat who doesn't want late-term abortion to the moment of delivery, they might agree with first trimester. But very few people that are decent would suggest late-term abortion to the moment of delivery when a baby could survive outside the womb. But the thing is, this is going on with politics, too. Have open borders. Give everybody free stuff. Just print money from the magic money tree. I mean, you mentioned this before in other shows, a magic money tree. AOC, she did an economic training? Where did she get her training? She got it at some kind of economic school. They must have drilled a hole into her brain, sucked her brains out like, Mars invades, and put something inside her, maybe some kind of wadding. But she doesn't have a clue, does she?
Apparently not. Now, it's interesting that these 16 of the Democratic presidential candidates want in varying degrees to get rid of the Electoral College because it stands in their way.
Oh, yeah.
Of just asserting total power for themselves. But loudest of all of those is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. What's interesting, though, is she says that the Electoral College is a, quote, scam, close quote, filled with, quote, racial injustice, close quote, because some of the 50 different states voting for their own electors are largely white. Her ignorance here is frankly amazing.
I saw the video clip. Did you see it?
Ocasio-Cortez, does she understand that she represents a geographic district, much as the electors do, that has its own racial and ethnic makeup? Her 14th district of New York was gerrymandered out of the Bronx and Queens to guarantee the election of a Democrat, like other progressive caucus districts.
Oh, really?
47% of the people in her district were born outside the U.S. 56% of those were from Latin America. So it's a very uncharacteristic district. But what's really intriguing about it, the Federal Election Commission keeps records, and they found that in 2019, thus far, and the year is far more than half over, she has received donations from people living in her district. She has received only 10 contributions.
Whoa.
From all those people, totaling $1,545 from all 10 put together. And yet, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the #1 fundraiser among neophyte Congress people.
Whoa.
How does this work? Well, she's getting millions of dollars from Hollywood, from Silicon Valley, and from other wealthy interests far outside her district. And so this leads to an interesting question about the Constitution. Why is she getting so high and mighty when she is not apparently elected by the people in her district? They don't contribute to her. They don't really support her. She gets millions of dollars from outside her district. So who owns Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Is it the people in her district who contribute nothing to her, or is it the multimillionaires and billionaires of Silicon Valley and Hollywood and so on who actually fund her to the tune of millions of dollars?
So she's
by the way, more than $1 million of which has just vanished into private bank accounts, and that is being investigated by the Federal Election Commission.
So Ocasio-Cortez, we call her the one with the occasion with the absent of cortex, is a PFH, politician for hire. And she's hired by people outside her district, which means she doesn't represent her district. She represents the powers that be that can contribute enough money to change her motives, her acting. She was brought forward by Justice Democrats. Remember JusticeDemocrats.com?
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor-endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria, from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in Central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
Red Deer Velvet DR is an amazing new product with a patent to preserve 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones, same as fetal life, where you don't age at all. The state of fetal life allows the 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones produced by the placenta to be supportive of the regeneration of tissues and organs, with maximum apoptosis, changing the tissue and organ structure of a fetus. That's why if fetal surgery is performed, there is no scar. Taking 2 to 3 capsules twice a day with oncomycin, myco-D2, provides an amazing support for regeneration of any tissue and organ in the body, and even advanced stem cell therapy support treatment. Do get NutriMedical's Red Deer Velvet DR from Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well and stay young with NutriMedical. Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M, of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. At NutriMedical.com, we have the most amazing drinks with the best mouthfeel, highest quality bionutrient exposure to your body to heal and regenerate, and the most powerful persistence of nutrients to heal your body dramatically. We have Ageless, which makes you age less, which repairs your DNA, extends your telomeres, etc. We have Life Support that detoxes phase 2 detox pathways, glucuronidation, sulfation, and methylation pathway support. We have Glycemics that blocks the carbohydrate absorption and helps with diabetes or weight loss, and as well helps with people that are trying to build up muscle, using things like our special formulas from Dr. Wolf called Mega Muscles between meals along with Sports Energy Light. We have the amazing Nutri-Complete, the most complete red and greens drink in the world, with the best mouthfeel and flavor. You can often mix it too with Vitamin Mineral Mix, which is our fruit-flavored mixed power of vitamin minerals. Stay well with NutriMedical every day.
I remember when I lost my mind.
And welcome back. And your article is amazing, but it lays it out that it violates things like this idea of these 16 Democrats violate Article 4, Section 4. It violates many other areas of the Constitution, of the idea of a representative, Republican form of government, which is not a demonocracy, I call it. A democracy is not what we want. We want a Republican government that represents every area, every zone of America, right?
Yeah, this National Popular Vote Interstate Compact would work by saying that whoever wins the national popular vote, and that can be done by rigging votes in states like California, the electors in that state, even if the people vote for another candidate, will give their electoral votes to whoever wins the national popular vote. Now, that may sound fair in terms of changing the nature of the government, but it's changing it from a Republican form of government in which each state decides how it will cast its electoral votes.
Have states started to try to do that? Because I heard that Colorado is talking about that, or other states. What's going on?
Well, they are asserting, by the way, what happened in Colorado a few days ago is an appeals court handed down a ruling that if you are an elector, traditionally the people who are electors take an oath. They take an oath that they will cast their electoral vote for whomever wins the popular vote in their state. So this vote compact would completely nullify, would destroy that position, but the court said it's okay because you have the right to vote for anyone you wish. You are not bound by your oath. Well, if that were enforced strictly, that nullifies the Electoral College pretty much all by itself. The only thing that protects you is the electors are selected. I mean, for example, the Democrat would have one slate of electors. The Republican would have a different slate of electors. And presumably, the electors who are your slate will vote for you. So there is still that. But you're basically saying you are no longer obligated to honor your oath.
Whoa. This is scary stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's an attempt to end-run the Constitution. This is being done, as I said, because Democrats don't have enough votes to amend the Constitution. They can't get rid of the Electoral College. So they're going to simply try to make it something that can be walked around.
Right.
A part of the Constitution that can be ignored, even though it will still technically be there. There will still be an electoral vote. It will just happen automatically for whoever wins the national majority.
Rather than the state majority. This is really bad.
That's right, but imagine what that would lead to in terms of political controversy. Suppose your state votes 70% for Donald Trump, but because it has signed on to this compact, they will say, oh, but because California cast so many popular votes, we are just going to ignore what the people in our own state voted.
Wow.
Is that democratic? That's what the Democratic Party is now going to argue. And this is why I've argued for years that if we had a true Federal Trade Commission kind of approach to politics, the Democratic Party now violates democracy itself in so many ways. For example, they no longer want to let union people have a confidential, a private, secret vote, ballot, to decide whether they want to join a union or not. They instead want to have a kind of checkoff card. And the difference is, instead of going into a room where you can fill out your ballot in privacy, and no one will know how you voted, by the checkoff card method that the Democrats favor, a group of 10 union goons carrying baseball bats and boards with nails driven through them can surround you and then say, we got this checkoff card here. We want you to sign it. And by the way, some really terrible things could happen to you if you don't sign it.
Whoa.
That's what they want to replace traditional democracy here in the U.S. with. They want to do away with the secret ballot. They want to, and I mean, that kind of thing goes all the way down their general policy preferences.
Right.
Imagine that they are going to have electoral reform, for example, to make our elections honest in the wake of all this controversy about Russia influencing our election. And yet, they want to change it in a way that will not require anyone to prove that he's a citizen, that will not require anyone to prove that he is voting honestly and ethically, or that he's registered to vote in only one place.
Right.
I mean, it's just astonishing. And so gradually democracy is being undermined. This is why Craig Smith and I, in our book Money, Morality, and the Machine, have an entire chapter called Totally De-Voted.
Wow.
DE-VOTED.
Yeah, devoted. Yeah,
because your votes are literally being taken away in many different ways.
And by the way, how do they get these books again? Let's repeat that number for us, or people who want to call and get the books.
Oh, sure. To get the book absolutely free and postpaid, it will not cost you a penny. Just call 800-630-1492. That's 1-800-630-1492, like the year Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And we will get it right out to you. You can also, let us know when we call you back, or the publisher calls you back, whether you want the book in paper form or you want it in electronic form, like an e-book, or what. So we can provide it however you wish.
For example, I want to have a social safety net
We do this because, frankly, Craig and I want to see democracy and freedom still to be here for our children and grandchildren.
Well, we don't want democracy.
I mean in a Republican form. Yeah.
Republican form, but here's the thing. I want to have a social safety net for the weak and indigent and the people who visit here. But I don't want socialized central controlled medicine which forces vaccines and the doctor becomes a white-coated Spitznaz officer. I don't want to see open borders so we get everybody that comes here, can anywhere in the world, if we get a health problem, come to America, we'll give you free health care. I don't want to see a situation where we let, over the last 30 to 40 years, our industry being stripped to the bone by corrupt politicians to send our factories to China. The reason why they've got 124 companies now, they're in the top company over the last 30 years, which they never had before, is because we funded it. We funded China. China's having a fit now because they're so aggressive with companies, a lot of them are leaving to other Asian countries, and their market's collapsing. Their currency is the lowest it's been in 11 years. And if they don't work out a deal with Trump is going to up the ante quite a bit. And we can't lose this war, by the way. We can't. Because if we lose the war for innovative economy, it's the death knell to America, because our economy is totally based on the idea of we innovate and we manufacture that innovation and we export it to other countries. And what I see happening is, give us some good examples of what other countries have done by accepting the Democrat, I call the democratic version of democracy. What's happened to other countries like Germany now accepting the Green New Deal? In the past century, 100 million people killed in Soviet Russia and China, all based on the idea of a central controlled planning system. That's basically what the Democrats want to do when they have giant population centers control the economy, and a bunch of super wise oligarchs run everything. Give us a good example,
and now we look at our society, and of course China is implementing its social credit program, which is to say, if you've been critical of the government, if you have done things the government doesn't like, your social credit score is driven down to the point that you can no longer get on an airliner flying from one place.
Do you know what else I found out? Not only an airliner or train, you can't get health care or even drugs if you're sick. Did you know that? You can't get a job.
Yeah,
you can't even find housing.
Yeah, I mean, they are basically forcing you to conform, but that kind of thing is being done increasingly in the United States.
Well, yeah, they already announced it. The CIA announced, we want to do this here.
The Democrats, as usual, are following their multi-step program. What they are doing is saying, we want a cashless society. Right. We don't want you carrying around cash money, which gives you a certain amount of secrecy in what you might spend that cash on at a yard sale or whatever. We don't want you. We want everything you do to be a transaction through a credit card, through your cell phone or whatever, that we, the government, can monitor. And having monitored it, we can tax it, we can control it. And, oh, by the way, people like Mario Cuomo, or who is his son? What is it? The young Cuomo, governor of New York, is actually pushing a measure that is very much in keeping with the things Obama was doing. And that is, they are saying to credit card companies, we want you not to make it possible for people to buy a gun or ammunition using your credit channels.
By the way, what do you think of...
You can't have cash anymore, but you can't buy guns or other things we disapprove on credit.
I've seen that.
Credit is all you'll have.
I got a question, and we have a shock poll here on Drudge that says every major Dem beats Trump by at least 9. Who's bringing out these polls? I mean, most conservatives, like I know. I have my next door neighbor actually got a poll together to try to see if he can remove the governor of California who's a nut. And the average American, including Democrats, don't want the economy to crash or get so expensive they lose their job or lose their ability to buy health care. Where are they getting these numbers from? I mean, this is totally nuts, isn't it? And they keep on massaging those numbers and telling us that, hey, the Democrats, every major Dem is going to beat Trump by 9 points. I don't think so.
Well, look, the way there are many ways you can rig a poll. As any good pollster will tell you, you can get any result you want out of a poll. Just tell them what you want, and they'll rig the way the questions are asked, who has asked the questions, and so on. Normally, these polls you're seeing overload the Democrat percentage of people counted by 5 to 10 points. So there are more Democrats being questioned to begin with than Republicans. Number two, the questions can be rigged. For example, if you ask a question, do you favor capitalism? Capitalism is a word originally used by Karl Marx and others. I mean, it's a negative connotation question. It implies that free markets are somehow an ideology.
Right.
But if you say, with that same kind of questioning, do you favor free enterprise or free markets or free exchange of goods? People will tend to say yes to that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's amazing what you can do just by how you choose to ask a question.
Right.
And, of course, finally, look at the kind of environment they've set up. You're sitting home, the telephone rings, and on the other end is somebody who says he's a pollster. You don't know whether he's really a pollster or not. He could be God only knows what. And he asks you, do you support Donald Trump? Well, this is an age where they send out agents from Antifa to physically attack people who are pro-Donald Trump, where they routinely engage in all kinds of career terrorism and other kinds of terrorism, saying to your boss, do you know that this person who works for you is a major Trump supporter? So, in other words, the inclination of thoughtful people nowadays is if somebody asks you, do you support Donald Trump, you hesitate long and hard before you say yes to that.
Right. Do you think,
if
honestly,
the person asks you is anonymous and could be a Democrat operative?
I got a question for you. Do you think if Antifa tried to harass Dr. Deagle, that it would end up pleasantly or unpleasantly?
I think for them it would end up unpleasantly.
Right, and I would hit them with things that they would not expect. Let's say these ball-type, tear gas guns, directed energy weapons, all kinds of stuff that's very novel, but they wouldn't see it coming. They wouldn't be come over marching out with a gun to try to shoot them or them shoot back at me. They would be very surprised.
Using Type 1 or Type 2 tear gas, by the way?
It would be basically more advanced than these little balls. They have them. You can buy them for $300 bucks.
Oh, good. Because
at Amazon, they go 150 feet.
You know, people can basically function through Type 1 tear gas. Type 2 tear gas is made with a much smaller molecule that when you inhale it, it inhales deep into your lungs.
Right.
And can cause an enormous amount of problem.
Right.
So often, it's quite a decision whether you use number 1 or number 2 type tear gas.
Right. Well, even if you just stop them from seeing, they can't fire a gun off. But the fact is that I think that our public, if we see the Democrats, let's say in 2020 or 2024 or 2028, take away guns, we'll have a violent pushback, especially in rural areas of some states, against the federal government trying to seize guns. It's going to get ugly. And also, non-lethal and non-lethal exotic weapons will show up in the scene, including in drones. Amazing show today. As always, wisdom from Lowell Ponte that he gets through to POTUS and his people. This is the end of democracy if they get away with this foolishness, and hopefully it'll never happen either now or in any future government.